Welcome, everybody. My name is Dave Hart, and I'll be your host this evening for the Einstein Retirement Workshops version of Social Security and tax filing strategies. I need to do a quick audio check just to make sure that you can hear me. And then we'll do some quick trivia to keep you entertained until the top of the hour in less than 10 minutes now. The easiest way to do this, I'm coming to you from Pennsylvania tonight. So if you'd love to if you can hear me, just tell me what state you're in. I'd love to hear that, or audio is fine, anything like that. Thumbs up, you can hear me. Anything like that would be helpful. You can do that by just using the chat function on the right-hand side of your screen. Just type in there whatever state you're in, or that you can hear me, or thumbs up, anything like that. We are still about 9 minutes away from getting started. So you guys, there aren't that many of you on. That's typically we get a lot more in about 5 minutes. But if we want to, if you'd help me out right now, it would be very, very much appreciated. So if you're on and you can hear my voice, just respond to me. Thank you, Anita, coming from West Virginia. Thanks so much. I grew up in Maryland, so not that far. In fact, used to drive out to Hagerstown and cross over the line once in a while when I was a kid because it was fun. All right, so it looks like you're on Facebook. Is there anybody from YouTube that could respond to me and just let me know that you can hear me? Anybody from YouTube, just let me know that you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up, or let me know what state you're in. Anything like that would be very much appreciated. It looks like we do not have very many people from YouTube on yet, although it's a pretty popular channel for us to get. By the top of the hour, we'll have it full. But if you're on YouTube right now, I would appreciate you just letting me know. Hey, in Falling Waters, I know where that is. I know right where that is, bordering Hagerstown. Well, great. Yeah, I'll call you an old neighbor. All right. Anybody from YouTube that could just give me a quick thumbs up that you can hear my voice. If you're on YouTube, I'm talking to you. There aren't that many people on from YouTube. So if one of you could just plug in, use the chat function, there you go. Looks like Debbie Ward is on Maui. Oh, I was in Maui probably a month ago, and it was really beautiful. Congratulations, you have a wonderful, wonderful place to live. Although a little expensive if you want to buy a house. All right, I am going to ask our tech team, since we have confirmation that audio is good, I'm going to ask our tech team to pull up the trivia, and we'll look to participate. All you need to do is just jump in. These are all multiple choice, so easy to answer. Just in the chat function, just type A, B, C, or D. That's all it's going to take. Let's start with the first question. All right, this is a fun one. If you've just joined, we're doing some quick pre-workshop trivia. How are the first three numbers from your Social Security number derived? Everybody has 9 numbers, 3, then 2, then 4. Those first 3, where do they come from? Is it the zip code of your birth city? Low property taxes and never need heat. That's true. It was gorgeous when I was there. Is it A, the zip code of your birth city? Those are where those first 3 numbers come from. B, the zip code of the issuing Social Security office. C, they're random. Or D, the state where you were born. Is it A, B, C, or D? Again, to participate, all you got to do is just type in the chat function, A, B, C, or D. Again, A is, thanks, Tracy, Wichita, Kansas. I have been there many times too. Is it A, the zip code of your birth city, B, the zip code of the issuing Social Security office, C, random, or D, the state where you were born? I see a D. I see two Ds. I see a B. All right. Give you 10 more seconds here to answer. There's another D. All right. Okie dokie. All right. Drum roll. Here we go. It's B. Who had B? Oh, Anita had B. Great. It's the zip code of the issuing Social Security office. Their first three numbers of their zip code is where you get the number. All right. Next question. Why have more than 40,000 people claimed 078051120 as their Social Security number? Is it A, that number was stolen and sold over 40,000 times? B, the Social Security machine got stuck and simply kept printing out and issuing the same number to everybody that applied for a few days. It would only take a few days. Or C, it was a copy of a real Social Security card number that was included in a wallet that was sold at Woolworths to thousands of people. A, B, or C? Take your best guess. A, B, or C? A, the number was stolen, sold over 40,000 times. B, the Social Security machine got literally just issued the same number for several days or a week, enough time to get 40,000 people issued. C, it was a copy of a Social Security card, a real Social Security card that was sold, included in a wallet, and then sold at Woolworths to a ton of people. I see some B's. I see some A's. We got plenty of people on now. C. Folks, if you've just joined, we're just doing some pre-workshop trivia. We're going to start right on time, but feel free to participate. You can answer these questions just jumping in the chat section. All right. Here we go. All right. I am going to reveal here. It's C. Who got that? Is it AV? AV her? All right. So there's another C. Gwendolyn got a C. It was a marketing executive that borrowed a Social Security card to put in the wallet from his assistant. Never actually wrote the note to the printer not to use that and to put zeros in. All right. We're getting close. Maybe we've got time for two more questions. Under what circumstances can you receive a new Social Security card or a Social Security number, not card, and have it issued to you? Is it A, religious or cultural issues with certain numbers? B, you're experiencing ongoing issues of identity theft or being a victim of identity theft? C, your number enables people to harass or endanger your life? Or D, all of the above? Anna. Thanks, Anna. I appreciate you letting me know. All right. All right. Is it A, B, C, or D? I see an A. See another A. All right. Going to have to do this quick if we're going to get one more in. So I'm going to give you 20 seconds here to answer. There's a D. Anybody else? Oh, another D. All right. All right. Drum roll. Here we go. It's D. Oh, there's some B's and another D. All right. All right. It's D. It's any one of those. Any one of them. All of them get you the answer. So technically, you're all right. But good job. All right. This is going to be the last question. What year was the first Social Security benefit paid? Was it in 1936, A, for $28.17, B, 1937 for 1967, or C, 1940 for $22.54? Little help here. Social Security was signed into law in 1935. So how long did it take before we paid somebody out of Social Security? Was it A, 1936, B, 1937, C, 1940. All right, going to have to ask you to hurry up. We just hit the top of the hour. Give you 10 seconds to throw in your answer. There's a C. There's another C. There's an A. Another C. All right. All right, 5 seconds here. Oh, another C. The C's have it. And you're absolutely correct. Now, interestingly, Social Security is self-funded. So even though it started in 1935, they had to collect enough money from people paying into Social Security to have the funds to pay out. And that took a while to have enough money to be sustainable about it. All right, I'm going to ask our tech team to pull up the actual workshop. Thanks for your participation. That was fun. And there we go. All right, let me do a tiny bit of housekeeping and then we're off. Again, my name is Dave Harden. I am your host this evening. I'll do a little more formal introduction in about a half a minute, but let me just take care of the obvious thing. So look, if you've joined us tonight, you might be wondering, how long does this take? And that's a very common question. We get it a lot. This is about an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, but depends. I've got a little tickle in my throat, so sometimes I go a little longer. Sometimes I speed up. So bear with me, but about an hour and 20 minutes, at the end of which we always do a Q&A, a question and answer period. Here's how you can help us. If I end the workshop and I say, okay, we're ready for questions, and nobody's written any questions down, here's what happens. There's a delay. Everybody starts writing. I can hear the keys typing on your laptops or your phones or whatever you're using. If you know a question, you don't need to wait. You can type it right into the chat function now. You can do it at any time during the workshop. You don't have to wait till the end. And then our tech team will sort of queue those up so that as soon as we end the workshop, we can immediately start answering questions and get through. Many people stay the entire time we answer questions, and we will endeavor to answer everybody's question tonight. So thanks so much for that. Let's get started. All right. Again, my name is Dave Harden. I am a registered financial consultant at RFC. That's a designation for retirement planning and investment management in retirement issued through the IARFC, the International Association of Retirement Financial Counselors. I also carry the NSSA. That is the only college accredited designation for Social Security and taxes in the country. I'm also the author of the workbook that you're going to receive at the end of the evening here. Very proud of the work that we've done there. We've well more than 100,000 people have attended and received the workbook over the years for us. So we've updated it recently. It's a 2026 edition. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's worth a read. That being said, I also carry a Series 65 license, which makes me somebody that can call themselves. Hold on. Sorry, my phone thought I was talking to it. It makes me a fiduciary advisor. I can call myself an advisor. I've done the work to do that, but I'm also a fiduciary, and by that I mean legally bound to be a fiduciary with everything that I do in terms of the financial world. I own a registered investment advisory, which is called an RIA, called City Center Advisors. I own that with my son. We have a bunch of advisors that work for us. We do business in about 43 states. We have clients in about 43 states. I think I looked yesterday, 1,231 client accounts. We've done extraordinarily well. We're in our second decade of business. We're very proud of the work that we've done and very proud of the clients that we have and that we've earned. That being said, let me put you at ease a little. I'm not here to sell you advisory service tonight. I'm not going to tell you about investments. I'm not going talk about what's hot items to invest in. That's not what this is about. We're going to talk about Social Security and taxes and why it's so important in planning. Um, there we go. So, with that in mind, um, let's get started. All right. So, why is Social Security such a hot topic? Why is it such a big deal? Every day, 10,000 babies turning 65. That, by the way, that's going to continue for maybe the next 11 years. It's going to continue at a similar rate after that, just not quite over 10,000. And I think this year we're closer to 11,000. This is one of the peak years for baby boomers hitting that landmark. 70,000 a week, 280,000 a month. Last year, 3.64 million of us turned 65. It's a big deal. With that comes all sorts of questions about taxes and Social Security and Medicare and all sorts of things, retirement planning. But I think one of the most interesting issues or things that we can talk about is statistically, 65% of retired middle income Americans derive over half of their retirement income from Social Security. Even those that don't get that much, that they have other incomes, still rely heavily on Social Security for their day-to-day or month-to-month income. And then since 1985, American corporations have eliminated more than 84,000 pensions. Now, I don't mean 84,000 people. I mean 84,000 corporations. Some of those individual corporations singularly had more than 100,000 employees. This is a huge amount. This changed the landscape of retirement. When I first started in the business, I'm getting very old, guys. I'm turning 70 in 3 weeks. I don't know if that's very old. I don't feel very old. I don't feel any different than I did when I was 45. So, um, I don't know. Does that mean I felt really bad at 45? I don't know. But in any case, when I first started in the industry in the late 70s, we used to call retirement the three-legged stool. Your Social Security, your pension, and your savings. These days, for the vast majority of us, it's a two-legged stool. And then I think the most disturbing statistic of all, by that I mean really concerning, is that statistically 46.1% of us currently pass away with less than enough to fund our own funeral. We die broke. Almost half of us die broke. That is a scary statistic for a couple of reasons. If you don't know why, how in the world do you avoid that yourself? And this isn't just people that start. I mean, the people with no money in our country are really about 12 to 13%. But this includes people with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in things like 401ks and IRAs. But they end up in that same spot. And that's scary. We're going to talk about this evening. It's one of the things that we have to understand. Look, do you insure your home? Of course you do. Your car, you don't have a choice in most cases. Your health, well, good news is if you're interested in Social Security and you qualify for it, you also qualify for Medicare. So you've already got a health insurance program. And some people say, oh, that's government. Yeah, it's a government-sponsored insurance program. And what about your retirement? That's what Social Security is. It is an insurance program for your retirement. Now, it's a couple of other things, but that's its main purpose. That's why it was created, and that's its main job. It is an insurance program, a government-sponsored insurance program that provides you an income in retirement. It does a couple more things than that. All right, this is census data. What's the risk of outliving your income? It might be higher than you realize. Census says if you're a single male, age 65, you have a 50% chance you're living to 85 or more. If you're a single male, 65, you have a 25% chance that you're living to 92 or more. Guys, this is a huge deal. I mean, when I first started in the industry, nobody thought people were going to live to 92 or 85. We used to plan to 80 and think we were overcompensating, but that's just not the case anymore. I it was years from the first time I started in the industry before I regularly saw people who had parents that lived past that. Well, nowadays it's very common. If you're a single female, age 65, you got a 50% chance that you're living to 88. 1 in 2 chance. 1 in 4 chance you're living to more than 94. And look, if you're a couple, two people who love one another, if you're the male in that couple, 50% chance that you're living to 92. You just doubled your odds that you're living to 92. And the female is now a 50% chance that they're living to 97. They doubled their odds and added 3. This is crazy. Now, you might be asking why. Why so much longer for couples? It's really simple. Two people who care about each other notice things. You hear that cough or the rattle in the chest, or you see that mold that looks concerning, and you get your spouse or your loved one to the doctor. That's important. And if you're single, who's going to do that for you? So it makes a huge difference. But that's really not the point of this. The point of this is, are you prepared to live much longer than you thought you might? This is Ethel Carterham. She's 100. She just turned 116. She's the oldest living person in the world. Interestingly, she's joined a club of people that are in the 116s and the 115s and the 119s. Interestingly, there's a long list here, but I'm trying to think of the one before Tomiko Tuko, she who was 116 and passed away, I think in 2022. There was a lady before that that lived in Jamaica, last name of Brown, that was 122. And Jean Clement, I think, died in 1997 at I think it was 126. And she drank and smoked every day since she was a teenager. I don't know. The French, I don't know. But people are living longer. And this isn't just what I'm saying about it from here. You have to realize this is a statistic. If you looked at the oldest living people in the world, the list of the top 100 people, oldest living people, if you looked 15 years ago, there was nary an American on it. But you look today, it's chock full of us. More and more of us. And you know this because most of you are baby boomers. And look, we are called the sandwich generation because many of us are taking care of our kids, or at least they're living with us, and we're taking care of our parents as well. That is just the life that we live. And we look. My parents didn't live as long as my wife's, but we took care of both of her dad and her mom, and lived with us for quite a while before we needed more help than we could give. It's just the way it goes. And look, who wants to live in a nursing home if they don't want to? This is just who we are these days. So the question is, are you prepared for that? Look, here's our focus today. This is what we're going to talk about: benefit basics, strategies for married couples, options for divorced individuals, options for widows and widowers. If you're single, don't worry. Social Security is, well, first off, it was created for single people. When Social Security was created, the average lifespan was 63. But the retirement age on Social Security was 65. Most people didn't make it. Nowadays, if you're single, everything about Social Security was created for you, one, and two, Everything that you see on that list, especially the word taxes, boy, do you have to pay attention to. Taxes are going to be a surprise for most of you this evening, and that you really need to pay attention to it. And then, why is coordinating business benefits so vital and so important? All right, basics of Social Security. You to get and qualify for Social Security, you had to work at a Social Security covered job, a place where you paid into Social Security, and then your employer matched that. And you had to do that for at least 40 credits. A credit represents one quarter, a quarter of a year, January, February, March, April, May, June, and so forth. 40 credits, 40 quarters is 10 years. Once you have those 10 full years, those 40 quarters, you have qualified for a Social Security retirement benefit. Without that, you didn't. Now, people say, well, aren't there benefits before that? Yeah, you can get a disability benefit with only half that, 5 years, 20 quarters. But if all you have is 20 quarters, it's not going to be very big. And honestly, if all you have is 40 quarters, your retirement benefit's not going to be very big. But it is what qualifies you and gets you the benefit. Once you've got it, by the way, you need a quarter. That quarter of working has to contain this year at least $1,890 of earnings. Now that's prorated. 1982, I think that was about $214 for a quarter. So once you've got it, though, you've got it, right? Are there any exclusions or reductions in the benefits? How does that work? Well, there used to be a lot more than there is now. There really aren't any exclusions these days in terms of qualification. But there was this thing called the Social Security Fairness Act that changed some reductions in benefits called the GPO and the WP. The WP is the windfall elimination provision. The name will tell you enough about what they think of you. And the GPO is the government pension offset, or we like to refer to it as the grumpy partner offset. It affected people with military service, military pensions, railroad employees that had pensions that were supplemented by the federal government, state governments, local governments, county governments, city governments, local governments that had the ability to opt out of Social Security and then fill it in with their own pension system. This included school districts that chose to create a pension program for their teachers, for their employees, but opted out of Social Security so they could take that money and shove it into the pension to beef it up. All of those worked. But then there was these laws, the GPO and the WP, that if you did not participate in that while you were earning those pensions, they penalized you. The WP would say, hey, when you retire, maybe you worked at a school district or a county and a government that you earned a pension, but you could retire when you were 55. And so you retired, but you weren't ready to retire. So you went back to work, but somewhere in the private sector, and you earned your 10 years, your 40 credits to qualify for Social Security. So now you've got a Social Security benefit and your pension. The government said, hey, windfall. You got two benefits when you really shouldn't have. And they would reduce, they couldn't touch your Social Security, but they would reduce the amount that you got from, they couldn't touch your pension, but they could reduce your Social Security benefit, and they did. By the way, the mark for them was if you had 31 years of service paying into Social Security. If you didn't, you were affected by this. Same thing with the GPO, it affected your partner. Let's say I worked for the federal government for 40 years and I had a wonderful pension and I opted for the joint payout. So if something happened to me, my wife would inherit it. But she worked in the private, or she worked in let's say she was a teacher and she earned a pension under her teaching job. But she didn't have a lot of years. My wife worked for years before we were married, and then when we were married, a couple years, we started having kids, 3 years apart, 3 years apart, and all of a sudden, she wanted to be with them and around for them when they were in their early years of school, and then eventually she decided to go back to work. But no way for her to have 31 years. She didn't have anywhere near that. Maybe she had 20. So I would say to her, if something happened to me, I might have thought, well, she's going to have my pension. She'll have her Social Security. But when she got my pension, they said, you don't have 31 years. Guess what? We're going to reduce your Social Security. In fact, in many cases, listen to this, it's crazy. They would say, you don't qualify for any. We're going to take it away. The problem here is she paid for it. Social Security is an earned benefit in terms of the retirement. I know everybody loves to call it an entitlement program, but it's not. I mean, maybe it's an entitlement program for the disability benefit if you've worked 5 years and earned a disability benefit for the rest of your life. But if you pay in for 30 years or 40 years into Social Security and you get a benefit and your employer matched that and paid into it, that's not an entitlement. It's an earned benefit. But they took it away anyway. Well, Congress has been looking at this for 20 years, and they just couldn't get the votes. But finally, in 2025, they passed the law, and it was signed into law, and it was done. So it doesn't exist anymore. So you don't have to worry about that. But it used to be a big problem. How does Social Security work? You pay in 6.2% of your earnings up to a maximum earning of $184,500. If you make a nickel over that, you don't pay Social Security tax on it, and it's done. So you put in 6.2, your employer matches that with another 6.2 for a total of 12.4%. 12.5% is 1/8. It's a quarter, it's a 1/2 of quarter of your entire paycheck. It actually adds up to a lot of money. You think about paying into this for 40 years, 1/4 or 1/8 of everything that you've made goes into an account. It's a lot of money. It's a huge amount of money. Business Insider magazine did a study, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. It was before COVID. So maybe it was 6 years ago. And they took a typical couple, $50,000 matching income. They said between the husband and wife, between Social Security and Medicare, contributions over their lifetime, average couple contributed in today's dollars $742,000 to Social Security. That's a lot of money. Some of you are going, "Could I just have that back?" And I get it, but that's not the way it works. Now, today's contributions cover today's benefits. It's been that way since its inception. Social Security didn't start with a trust fund. It started with a bunch of people paying into it, and that money going out to the people who were over 65. It's been that way every year, and it's worked incredibly well. Think about this: in 1935, people over 65, the lifespan, I said this earlier, was average lifespan was 63. There were very few people who qualified for this. But guess what? The next generation lived longer. But the generation after that paid into it, and it was significantly bigger. That generation was significantly bigger. And then baby boomers were way more of us than there are of our parents and grandparents. This has worked incredibly well. At some point in the Reagan administration, there were more than 40 people paying in for every single person receiving a benefit. Worked really good. Here's the problem. Anybody know how many millennials there are? 77 million baby boomers. As somebody's asking, did I understand correctly? Is the WP no longer? That's correct. The Social Security Fairness Act took it away. The GPO and the WP no longer exist as of January of 2025. All right, so look, 77 million baby boomers, 81 million millennials. More of them than there are of us. But it isn't like it's 3-1 or 5-1. It's 1-1 barely. This creates a big question about solvency. What's Social Security going to do? Are they going to run out of money? Let's take a look at this, because I think it's really important that we pay attention to the solvency question, because, I mean, what are we all doing here if it's just going to go broke in a few years? I'm going to have a very different take on this. I've been doing this a really long time. I've studied this a ton. Whenever there's a Senate hearing or a congressional hearing on this, I listen. I pay tons of attention. There was one about a month and a half ago that was really important, and I was really pleased to see what happened there. But here's the deal. 2010 is the first year since 1983 that Social Security was projected to be in the red. 83 was a massively important year for baby boomers and Social Security. When I say massively important, it changed everything. It's the year you got the letter. I don't know if you remember the letter, but you got a letter in August of 1983. I know because I got one and my wife got one on the same day. I'm going to paraphrase the letter because it was a shock to me before I opened the envelope. Why in the world is Social Security sending me a letter? I'm nowhere near time to retire. Well, here's the deal. Here's what it said, and I'm paraphrasing. Since Social Security's inception in 1935, full retirement age, also known as FRA, has always been 65. I remember my parents talking about 65, my grandparents talking about 65 was when you retired, because it's when Social Security kicked in. But the letter said this: if you were born between 1943 and 54, it's no longer going to be 65, it's going to be 66. And if you're born after 1954, for every year, add 2 months. So 55, if you're born in 1955, it's 66 and 2 months. 56, 66 and 4 months. And so on until you reach birth year 1960, where it's 66 and 12 months, or 67. And for everybody born 1960 or later, it's 67. So this changed things a little. I remember going to work the next day and having a conversation with somebody about this, because I was concerned, but not maybe for what you thought. I wasn't concerned at that time about Social Security running out of money. Here's what I was concerned about. How many more letters am I going to get? How many more times is 66 going to turn into 67 or 68 or 69 or 70? How long is it going to be before they tell me I can't retire until 72? That's what I wondered. Now, interestingly enough, do you know how many more letters you got? None. They never did it. But here's the thing. Somebody overheard my conversation, and I heard somebody say for the first time in my life the following: why are you worried about Social Security? It's never going to be around when you retire. You just better save a bunch of money. And I thought long and hard about that. But I couldn't get over the fact that I've paid into this tons of money. And so has my wife. Not as much as me, but she's paid in. Here's the thing. No other letters came. But there's a bit of a crisis now. It is currently fully funded to 2000. People debate 2034, 2035. There are reports from two different organizations inside the government that predict this, and one says one and one says the other. But here's the thing. Social Security doesn't run out of money to pay benefits. They run out of enough money. They have enough money to pay approximately 83 cents on every dollar for the next 70 years. This is not about funding Social Security. It's about funding the gap of basically 17 cents on the dollar. There are four basic proposals to address the solvency issue. Let me go through them real quick, and then I'll tell you my take on this. Increase minimum retirement age. It's now 62, raise it to 64, 65. This helps a fair amount. This would cover almost over 20% of the gap, but they haven't done it. Increase the full retirement age from 66 or 67 to 70 or 72. This would help a little, but not near as much as the other one. And then increase the payroll tax. This one solves the problem completely. OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, did a study a few years ago that said a 1% increase. This was 2020, maybe 2019. A 1% increase in the payroll tax. So instead of 6.2 to you and 6.2 to the employer, they'd raise up a half a point to you, half a point to the employer, 6.7, 6.7. That would have stopped the gap for longer than any of us would be alive. But they didn't do it. And projections now are it would take more than that, significantly more than that. And when I say significantly, some estimates are 2%, some estimates are 3%. Whatever it is what it is. And then but that absolutely fixes the problem. And then the other one, the one that you hear all the time talked about, that is never going to happen, is reduced benefits. It's an empty threat. And I'll tell you why. It can't happen. It's really, I was at a conference last year in May in Coronado Bay in California. They invited 200 advisors. It was an invitation-only event. I was honored to be invited. Some of the top advisors in the country were there, and the people that ran it are people that I get googly eyes about. They're brilliant. They're PhDs. They're just unbelievably smart. They know stuff that you just hang on their words because they're incredible. And it was an honor to be there, an honor to be invited. But the conference was great, but they had breakout sessions, just like I'm going to do this evening. Those breakout sections had Q&As. Well, one of them was on Social Security, and Social Security is singularly important in retirement and retirement planning. It can't be ignored, which is one of the reasons I do this workshop, because so many advisors just skip over it or tell people, oh, you can file anytime, you got enough money. That's a crazy thing. They don't understand it, and they certainly don't understand the tax implications of that. So I went to this, and they're introducing the panel, and I was super impressed. The first person was a former director of the Social Security Administration. That's a massive job. I've actually heard them speak before, and I'm impressed then and impressed this time too. And then I didn't know the next two people, and the fourth person introduced was another former director of the Social Security Administration. I didn't know them. Interesting, one from each party, Republicans, one from Democrats. So I guess they were thinking they were being balanced. I don't know. But they did their presentation. It was wonderful. It was great. I didn't learn a ton. I know a lot about Social Security. It comes with the territory. But at the end, they did a Q&A, a question and answer period, just like I'm going to do tonight. And everybody knew what the first question was going to be. It's going to be about solvency. Nobody thought it would be about anything different, because it's the question of the era that we're in. And of course, that was the first question. You could have heard a pin drop waiting for the answers, and they were interesting. Let me tell you what the two directors said, because I was massively, I was really impressed with them and incredibly impressed with their answers. Here's what they said. The first one said this: Social Security is not going to not pay. It's not going to lose funding. It's going to continue on like it always has. And here's why. 5 years ago, COVID. When COVID hit, within 2.5 weeks, our government passed legislation that gave away 5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion to businesses, to individuals for a pandemic that we didn't know how long it was going to last or where it came from or what it was going to do, just out of pure anticipation and fear to try and keep the economy from going upside down. $5 trillion. People received that money without ever paying a nickel for it. Every one of you on this workshop have paid thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into Social Security. Think they can? What in the world makes you think that it could ever not pay you every dime you've earned? It's impossible. So you said, well, how are they going to do it? I don't know. Well, what are they going to do? I don't know, but they're going to do it. Well, are they going to raise taxes? Maybe. Are they going to borrow the money? Maybe, but they're going to do it. And here's the other reason. This is what the other one said. And this is the one that blew me away and said, he's right. Our government set up our banking system, our system of finance in America, set up under Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, who's a certifiable genius. We create fiat money. We do it on our word that we're going to pay it back. When we sell bonds out of thin blue ether, the expectation is that the government stands behind that bond, and when it's due, they'll pay it. And they always have, and they always will. Because the second they don't, our whole system collapses. We go into not a recession, but I don't even think depression would cover the word for that. The dollar becomes worthless. Our trading ability becomes worthless. Other countries shun us. That's what would happen. What do you think would happen if we didn't honor the Social Security benefits that we've promised and collected the money for over the last 50 years? Our country's credit would be worthless. And because of that, it can't happen. Not because you deserve it, but because the system would collapse. And I got to tell you, for me, you deserving it is enough. But maybe for the government, it's got to be that they have no choice, that they just can't take it away. That's the simple height and breadth of it. It's impossible not to pay you. That's why when you hear people talk about, oh, the Social Security is going to go broke, they're not going to pay you, they're going to cut your benefits, they're going to do this, they're all just trying to scare you, or they don't understand what's going on and they haven't thought it through. Because if they stop paying you, the world collapses. Now, why do they want you to think that, though? Well, I will tell you, I almost certainly guarantee you that some form of increased taxes is going to happen. And here's what our Congress does not like to do that. They're afraid to increase taxes because they won't get reelected. I mean, what's the George H.W. Bush lost what should have been a sure election because he made the pledge of no new taxes, and he signed an agreement for what wasn't an actual tax but a fee. And he was hung for it, politically hung for it. And it's not going to happen. It can't. They're more afraid of it than you realize. All right, how are your benefits determined? You get your full retirement age benefit, your FRA, at 66 or 67. If you take it early, you get less. You can take it as early as 62, but you don't get 100%. You get 75%. And if you delay, you get these DRCs, delayed retirement credits, of 8% per year. It's actually 2/3 of 1% per month. 2/3 times 12 is 8%. So it's 8% per year. But 8%, they're not compounded, but they are stackable. So 8% plus 8% plus 8% plus 8%, 132%. The difference between waiting until 70 and starting your benefits at 62 is an additional 177% more benefit than if you were at 70 than you would have gotten at 62. It's like getting a full retirement age benefit 100% and a 62 benefit at 75% on top of it. It's a huge difference. A huge difference. All right. 3 distinct benefits or benefit columns that we call retired worker benefit. That's your benefit. That's the one that you earn with your contributions. A spousal benefit goes to your spouse based on your benefit contributions, not your spouse's. A spousal benefit is paid to the spouse. They could have never worked a day in their life. It's earned through your contributions. And then widower or survivor benefits, again, based on the deceased worker's contributions, not the surviving spouse. All right. Bipartisan Budget Act 2015. I am going to go through this like lightning because it changed things, but it really is dated now. It's 11 years old since they've done this, and there's only one aspect of this that makes me even talk about this at all. And I'm just going to skip to that aspect because none of the rest of this applies. It's all, stuff that you would be already over 70. But if you're born after January 2nd, 1954, this applies to you. They changed how you could do it. You used to be able to go and get what's called a restricted application. You could go in at 62, file, immediately suspend that benefit. Then your spouse could walk in the same day and apply for a spousal benefit under a restricted application for only that benefit. Why would you do that? Well, your benefit is unaffected. You're still growing all the way to full retirement age. If you delay, all the way to 70, and you're getting the full benefit of that. While your spouse's benefit is still going up every year until full retirement age, and then getting the delayed DRCs until they're 70. But while they're collecting an additional 50% of your benefit under the spousal benefit until they decide to take their own benefit. It was a great way to get extra benefits. That can't happen anymore. They've taken the ability to do that away. But that's not why I'm doing this. Why I'm bringing this up is when they passed this law in 2015, they added a thing called deemed filing. Deemed filing changes the way that you get your benefit. Deemed filing means that when you go into file now, you don't get a lot of choice. You can't tell them which benefit you want. They're going to look and get the largest benefit available to you on the day that you file, and that's the benefit you get, like it or leave it. That's it. And they're not going to tell you that, but it might be much wiser to wait a year or 2 or 3. And once you filed, you've lost that ability. This is called deemed filing, and it has just changed everything. Because of this, when you file, makes a huge difference for you now. And it involves strategy because you can't use any other strategy. This is the only strategy you have. And when you file is critical to getting the most benefits and doing it on your own. All right. Couples or married couples, spousal benefits. To qualify for spousal benefits, you have to have been married for at least 1 full year. Primary worker must have filed. So if my wife wants to file now for a spousal benefit, she can't until I take my benefit. Now I've already signed up for it. It'll start in July because I'm now going to be 70, but she can't get the benefit until I'm actually receiving that benefit. She can only take her own. Generally, you must not qualify for a benefit on your own that is equal to or greater than 1/2 of the primary worker's PIA, primary insurance amount is what that stands for. And it's the workbook will explain it. It's just a convoluted way to explain what your FRA benefit is or close to it. And then you get 50% of 50% of the spouse's PIA when you file. Now, here's the thing. If my wife's benefit were more than half of my benefit, she doesn't get my benefit, but she doesn't get a spousal. She gets her own, and she has to take it. It's the only one she can get. But if her benefit is $1 less than half of mine, she gets mine. Sort of crazy, but that's the way it works. Here's an example. John's primary insurance amount at full retirement age is $2,000. Jane, his spouse, eligible for one half at her full retirement age, she can get $1,000. Pretty simple. Now, if she takes that benefit early, though, if you take your benefit as early as 62, you get 75%. But Jane is taking a spousal benefit. If she takes it early, she doesn't get 75%. She gets 70% at age 62. So let's do the math again. John's benefit is $2,000. At full retirement, Jane's benefit would be $1,000, but at 62, it would be 70% of $1,000 or $700. Now, you get these wonderful DRCs, delayed retirement credits, if you delay 8% plus 8% plus 8% plus 8%, 132%. But if you delay taking a spousal, you get nothing. There is no increase for delaying a spousal benefit. Your benefit gets it, but the spousal does not. If you delay taking a spousal benefit, you have just thrown money away. You can't do anything with it. You're just going to get the same benefit you got. Worse, if I make a mistake on my own benefit, I can file back as much as a year and get them to pay me a lump sum for that year and then start my benefit. Spousal benefits, you cannot file going backwards, only going forward. So whatever you've lost permanently. That's the only way it works. All right, at the death of the first spouse, a surviving spouse can receive a maximum of either his or her own benefit. This is for a surviving spouse, a widow or widower benefit, or the benefit of the deceased. You can take one or the other, or 82.5% of the PIA of the deceased if the deceased filed early. So look, one of the reasons I get so upset about solvency and the communication that we get from the media and people who claim to know what they're talking about in terms of this is, look, I could get 1 million views on YouTube tomorrow if I wanted to do a video telling people that Social Security is going broke, get your money before it closes down. And I know this because there are people out there that do exactly that. They have no credentials, they have no background, they have nothing other than there's one guy that does it. He drives around in his Winnebago. I don't think it's a Winnebago, but it's something like that, his motorhome, and there's a recreational vehicle motorhome, and steps outside in the sunlight and gives a video for 15 minutes telling people that Social Security is going broke and you better take your benefit as soon as you possibly can. And he gets millions of views. Now, I don't know if you know how YouTube works. You get millions of views, you make money. A lot of money. I'm sure it's how he's supplementing his retirement benefit. But here's the thing. He doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. But it's scaring Americans. Last year, 65% of baby boomers took their benefit before age 65. 40%, 2 out of 5 of us took their benefit at the very first month they could take it at 62. 40% of us. When we've polled these people, we've done surveys, we've asked them, why are you doing this? There's so much more benefit if you delay. The number one reason, overwhelming reason, is they're afraid Social Security is going to run out of money. and they put all this money into it. I don't want to lose everything. I want to get something before they go broke. That's their reason. All right. Most common mistakes: higher wage earner files early, short changes survivor benefits. This happens all the time. And then both delay past full retirement age. Nobody claims that spousal benefit and just throws money back without any way of recovering it. All right. Divorced individuals. To qualify for divorced spouse benefits, you must have been married more than 10 years in a row to the same person. So no stopsies and starties, no 5-year marriage, 2 years off, 5 more years does not get you a 10-year marriage. Has to be in a row, and it has to be to the same person. No switching parties in the middle of the square dance. 5 years to one person, 7 years to the next doesn't get you a 10-year marriage. And you can't currently be married. If you remarry, you no longer have access to divorced spouse benefits. You have a current spouse benefits, but only after 1 year. Same benefit amounts and reductions apply for early claiming as they do for regular spousal benefits. There is zero difference between a spousal benefit. Well, that's not correct. There's only one difference between a spousal benefit and a divorced spouse benefit. And it's called this independently entitled divorce rule. It's pretty nifty. If my wife, who I've been married to not quite 50 years now, if my wife wants to get a spousal benefit, she can't. She has to wait until I'm getting my benefit next month. But if we were divorced for 2 years, that rule has changed. She doesn't need to wait at all. As soon as that 2 years is up, she can go file even if I never file. That's called the independently entitled rule, and it only affects you if you're divorced. All right, Bipartisan Budget Act for divorced individuals. Again, it took away the ability to do the file and suspend with your spouse. It's treated divorced spouses exactly the same way it treats married spouses. You can't do this any longer. But if you're older than your ex-spouse and you're not currently married, you can claim your own benefit as early as age 62 and then switch to a larger divorced spouse benefit when your ex reaches full retirement age. Listen to this. This can be done more than once if you have multiple qualifying ex-spouses. So look, our government is so generous here that not only can you do it more than once, they'll let you do it in whatever order you want to do it. You can take the lowest income ex-spouse first, so you get the lowest benefit, letting the larger ones rise to the maximum amount, and then switch. Pretty interesting. Our common questions we get from those who are divorced: do divorce benefits affect the current spouse or their dependents? No. Your ex could have 2 ex-spouses, a current spouse, all receiving benefits. None of them are affected by this. Is your ex notified? If I'm getting benefits and it's based on my ex, will they let them know? The answer is no. Maybe more importantly, look, Social Security, like your doctor and HIPAA, your doctor can't share, even with another doctor, your health information, anything of your personal information, without your written permission. Under HIPAA, Social Security is the same way. They cannot share your information without written permission, with this exception. If you can prove that you're entitled to spousal benefit, divorce spouse benefits, by proving with a marriage license and a final divorce decree showing at least a 10-year gap, they are bound to be able to give you enough information, just the information you need to know if you qualify and how much it is for that benefit. That's it. All right, considerations for widows and widowers. To qualify for survivor benefits, you must be at least 60 years old. In fact, this is the earliest age that you can get any benefit for retirement. Everything else is at least 62. But widows and widowers can get this as early as age 60, but they must have remained unmarried from the time of their spouse's death until their 60th birthday. If they remarried, even like what's his name, Dennis Rodman and Carmen Electra did for one day in Vegas, and then got divorced, woke up and said, "What in the heck did we do?" If you did that, you no longer entitled. But if you remained unmarried the day of your 60th birthday, you qualify for this. Interestingly, the only exception to this, the only exception is that if you were married, you had to be married at least a minimum of 9 months to qualify for these benefits. There are exceptions, but they're very few. Law enforcement officer of the United States killed in the line of duty. That could be a local policeman, that could be a federal, it doesn't matter. Full-time fireman killed in the line of duty. Member of the armed services of the United States, armed forces, killed in the line of duty. Those are the only exceptions. Everything else, at least 9 months married, or you don't qualify for this. All right. I'm going to do a very quick case study on a widow benefit. I'm going to do this because I want you to see how important having a plan for filing is. It's way more important than it used to be. I'm just going to walk you through this, and then we'll get going. I've got a bunch more to cover here, so bear with me. This is John and Jane. Jane is John never elected and died at age 64. His benefit at full retirement would have been $2,150. Jane was 5 years younger than John, age 59 when John died, but she remained unmarried until her 60th birthday, so she qualifies. Jane estimated benefit on her own. This is her benefit, not his. She can't get until she's at least 62, 2 more years. But it would be $1,197 on her 62nd birthday. All right, I'm going to look at the options here. I call the first one file without thinking because that's what most people do. We walk into Social Security and we ask the same question. Social Security tells us it's the most common question they're asked. How much can I get? And it's not an unreasonable question, but it's pretty indicative that you don't have a plan, because if you did, you'd know. But if Jane walks in and says, how much can I get? The only benefit on her 60th birthday she can get at all is a survivor benefit, but she doesn't get $2,150. By filing at 60, she gets $1,537. She says, well, I want to take it. So she takes it. I'm going to do very simple math here. No adjustments, no cost of living adjustments. We're going to just do simple, straightforward, here's how much it is per month. So that $1,537, she starts at age 60, and we're going to say she lives 25 years to age 85. So 25 years is 300 months. 300 times $1,537 is $461,100. Surprisingly, that's a lot of money. All right, here's strategy one. I don't want to do that one. What are my other options? Well, you can wait till 62. If you do that, you can take your own benefit. Here's why that might be better. It's going to be less. It's only going to be $1,197, but maybe you're working for 2 years, making $40,000, $50,000 a year, $100,000 over 2 years at $50,000. We're not going to count that, but let's just look at what this would do. Well, then at your FRA, your full retirement age at 67, we start taking $2,104 a month. That's your benefit. That's the survivor benefit, but it's gone way up from the $1,537. So what does that do over your lifetime? If you 62 to 85, you've now brought in $538,835. That's almost $80,000 more, not quite, but almost $80,000 more than you would have gotten taking the first absolute take your survivor benefit up front. Now, here's what most people say is the most the best result. At 60, take the survivor benefit, that 1537. But listen, your benefit is way less. It's 1197, but it's growing. It gets those increases all the way to full retirement age. And then after full retirement age, it gets the DRCs, the delayed retirement credits of 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%. And by the time you reach 70, that 1197 is turned into 2108. Well, that's more than 1537. Guess what? Now it's time to switch. And you can do that with the survivor benefit. So you switch and look at this. 461,100 is turned into 563,904, more than $100,000 more than you would have gotten if you just took it and forgot about it. Having a plan, writing that plan down, having someone that's thought this through with you can make a huge difference in your lifetime income. Something that you should think about. All right. If you decide to take your benefit, let's say you take it at 62, but you continue to work at 62, at 63, 64, 65, for some of you at 66, and you earn more than 24,480, a little more than $2,000 a month, a little more than very little less than $500 a week. For every $2 over that 24,480, $1 of your Social Security is going to be clawed back. They're going to take it back. They're going to recover it. Let me put this in hard terms. Let's say it's 62. You're making $2,000 a month in Social Security, but you're earning $57,000. At the end of the year, every dollar of that 2,000 that you got, all 24,000 of it from Social Security, they're going to send you a letter and say, you owe it, send it back to us with interest. And if you ignore that letter, they have an incredible collection program at Social Security. They just stop paying you your benefit and start collecting it that way. If you're really lucky, 60 Minutes did an article on this about 8 or 9 months ago, where the best case scenario is that they just take half of your Social Security. But if you're over a threshold at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, they're going to take it all, unless you plead, and then maybe you can get a judge to say no, half. In the year that you turn full retirement age, for some of you at 66, for some of you at 67, if you earn $65,160 before your FRA, for every $3 over that, they're going to take $1 of your Social Security back. Not quite as bad, but this can surprise people. So look, if you're born after 1960 or after, your FRA is your birthday. So if you have a birthday in February, maybe early March, it probably doesn't matter. Chances are you're not going to make more than $65,000. But if you've got a birthday in December or November, maybe even October or September, maybe, this may be a problem. It's important to realize that once you hit your full retirement age, you can earn $1 bazillion, and there's no reduction in your benefit for doing that. But this can be a harsh wake-up call. You don't want to have this happen. By the way, if you earn a lot of money, and I'm not suggesting you're going to earn $1 billion, you are going to have to deal with taxes. Whether you have to deal with the earnings test or not, you are going to have to deal with taxes. Now, I wonder how many of you actually know or knew before this evening that Social Security was taxable. A surprising number of baby boomers don't know. It's interesting because Congress targeted baby boomers Remember, I said 1983 was a target year, a huge year for baby boomers and Social Security. Congress targeted us with the um, with the age thing, with when we can actually take our benefit. But that wasn't the main thing they did in 1983. What they did is they rewrote the law so that your benefit was taxable. Now, not everybody's benefit is taxable, but you're going to be shocked at how many of you are. Here's the other thing. You may not have known this, and why this is so egregious is that in 1935, when President Roosevelt wrote and signed into law that the federal law that passed Social Security into action, into actually being, explicitly states that the benefit from Social Security is tax free. And it had been that way forever until 1983 when Congress changed the law. Why do I say they targeted baby boomers? I'll show you in a second, but it's a big, big deal. Social Security got flipped on its ear in 1983, targeting you and I. Let me walk through how that works and why we have to be so aware of this now, and why tax planning has never been more important in retirement than you could possibly imagine. It is corrupting people's retirement and sucking them dry. And you have to be aware of this. You have to plan for it. You have to understand that much of it is mitigatable with a plan. But if you don't pay attention, you're just going to get killed. Some people say, oh, how hard can it be? Well, Social Security puts this out. This is the IRS's document 915 that explains how to fill taxes out on Social Security. It's 33 pages long with a worksheet. It's not simple. This chart is called provisional income. You might want to write that down. Provisional income. This chart was created by Congress in 1983 to target baby boomers. It's how they find a way to tax us. Let me go through how it works. If you're single and you earn $25,000 or more of provisional income, 50% of your Social Security is fully taxable at the highest marginal tax rate you pay, the last dollar tax, not the first dollar tax. For most of you, that's 22 or 24%. For some of you, it's more. For a few of you, it's less. Okay, $34,000. If you're single, $34,000 of provisional income means 85% of your Social Security is fully taxable at the highest marginal tax rate you pay. There's this 2,752 pages of Social Security code, 83 of them are on taxes. Sometimes late at night, if I'm having insomnia, I will read them because it will put you to sleep. But there's this wonderful line. It's really not wonderful. It's almost evil in the tax code that says we meaning Social Security, we never tax 15% of your Social Security. Isn't that generous? By the way, based on current conversations, that could change. If you're a married couple, doesn't matter how you're filing. It could be separate. It could be joint. It could be head of household. Doesn't matter. All of them combined income. $32,000 of provisional income means 50% of your Social Security fully taxable. 44,000 of provisional income means 85% of your Social Security fully taxable at the highest marginal tax rate you pay. Okay, let me go through what's included in provisional income, and then I'll explain a little more about how it works. All right, so what's included? Your W-2 income, obviously, all your gross income, all pensions, and I mean everything. Doesn't matter what your pension is, disability pension, could be a corporate pension, could be a military pension, could be any kind of pension you get, fully counts. All wages, all interest income, including tax exempt interest income. Maybe you're savvy and thinking, hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of municipal bonds because I don't want to pay tax in retirement. But all that income still counts as provisional income. They won't tax it, but they'll tax your Social Security by using it. All 1099 income. Any kind of, you do sales or real estate sales or whatever the income is, all 1035 exchange income, all real estate income, in fact. Maybe you're savvy. Maybe you have a bunch of rental properties and you're figuring out how to fill out your taxes and avoid huge tax bills by using depreciation and Schedule E's. And you've figured that out. But guess what? All rental incomes count, no depreciation. Business income. Maybe you own a small corporation or a private business or a partnership or an LLC or something like that. Maybe you get a K1 at the end of the year for your participation in the profits of the company. Sometimes you get a K1 and you get a check. Sometimes you get a K1 and the company keeps the money. It increases your value in the business, but you have a K1 for $25,000, but the company kept the money because they're hiring somebody or they're expanding or they're buying equipment. And they needed the money for that. But you still got a problem because that money is going to count as provisional income. Maybe you're like my daughter and son-in-law who overpay their taxes, in my opinion, so that every year they get a huge tax refund. I've seen them. I think that's a tax-free loan to the government. I don't, or an interest-free loan to the government. I don't think that's very smart. But I've seen them buy home improvements. They put an addition on. I've seen them buy cars. I've seen them take big family vacations. For them, it works. But look, that tax refund in the year that you receive it fully counts as provisional income. All right, here are the big ones. Do you have an IRA, a 401a, a 401b, a 401k, a 403b, a 457, a SEP, a SERP, a SLRP, any tax deferred account where you put money in, got a tax deduction for it, it grew tax deferred, but when it comes out, you pay tax. 100% of the proceeds of those gets counted as provisional income. I know some of you, I can see some of you going, wait a minute. My advisor said that it was the smartest thing I could do to fill those up. And I say to you, I get it. Many of my clients, most of my clients in our firm have 401ks and IRAs with tons of money in them. I get it. Here's the problem. Are you converting to Roth? Have you been? How much of it? When? Because Roth is the only thing I haven't mentioned that counts as provisional income. And the problem is it's been around for 30 years this year. And such a small percentage of us have any significant amount in it. It's crazy. The government was worried because it's a really bad deal for them. They were going to get rid of it, but when they realized how few people do it, they said, oh, what's the difference? We can always say we offered it and nobody took advantage. And that's unfortunately what's happened. Here's the thing. This is a big deal. Oh, by the way, this is the interesting one. If you're doing the math in your head, trying to figure out if it hits, let me give you the one that pushes most people over the edge. 50%, one half of your Social Security, or if you're married, combined Social Security counts as provisional income. If you're a married couple, one of you's got a $2,000 benefit, the other's three. That's $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year. $30,000 counts as provisional income. You have $2,000 more you're paying taxes on Social Security. This is a huge issue for most people. And it is turning. I mean, if you don't know people in their 70s who are starting to see what's happening when they take RMDs, required minimum distributions on their 401ks, and they're getting killed by this, it's essentially doubling their tax bill. That's what's happening. By the way, if Social Security had prorated, if Congress had prorated provisional income, that $44,000 today, just prorated at the same rate that Social Security was prorated, would be over $142,000. And if it was, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I've said a couple of times that Congress, they targeted baby boomers. Here's why. This has never been prorated. And in 1984 or 83, when this was put into practice, in 1983, if your grandparents had $44,000 of provisional income, they were amongst the 2% of the highest income earners in retirement in the entire country. They were wealthy. Not so much anymore. They just let inflation do its job. All right. I'm going to do one last case study. Let me look at the time here. Okay. This is a married couple. This is about provisional income. It's about taxes. Please pay attention. This is where people are getting hit. Very typical couple here, age 64 and 62. Just over $34,000 in combined annual Social Security income if they both file at 62. They want to retire early. Why? They're starting retirement with right about $752,000 in 401ks and IRAs. They've done well. They want to go early. We're going to assign them a 6% annual return, 3% inflation. They need a $70,000 per year inflation-adjusted after-tax income. Today, that's very reasonable. And they are living to a projected 86 and 89, respectively. Let's look at what this looks like. If they retire at 62, they're walking away from $186,496 in Social Security benefits. And folks, they need every single dime of that, every nickel of it. They can't afford to walk away from it, but they don't know. Here's the thing. They've already paid for it. Every bit of that they've earned. They put the money in to get it, but they're saying, no, I don't need it. Here's the cash flow. Now, the blue bars at the bottom of this cash flow are their Social Security. The orange bars are the $752,000 in 401ks and IRAs. The black graded line, that's the $70,000 inflation-adjusted income. At the end of the orange bars, that white space is empty. The orange bars ran out. They're out of money. This couple started retirement with $750,000. Reasonable ask. 2/3 of the way through retirement, they're dead broke and living only on Social Security. Do you remember when I said in the very first couple of minutes, 46.1% of Americans currently pass away with nothing? This couple started with $750,000, and that's where they're ending up. Oop, hold on. I'm going to ask our tech team to fix that. All right. It is a huge, huge deal. You cannot underestimate how big a deal this is for you. All right. I'm going to show you a corrected cash flow. We're not doing look, we're not changing their investments, we're not changing anything. No more money. It's the same couple, the same amount of money. They're just managing their taxes better with a plan that deals with Social Security. Here's what it looks like. Now, you tell me, would you rather have this cash flow or this cash flow? By the way, there's other things we can do to help them, but this is just filing Social Security different. This blue money, that's their Social Security. The orange money, that's never been taxed. The blue money has already been taxed. They've already paid taxes on it. When you pay your FICA, you're paying taxes. You don't get a deduction for it. The 401ks, the IRAs, you got a deduction for. Nobody expects not to pay income tax on that when they take it out. Here's the thing. This couple, though, doesn't take their Social Security at 62. They delay. They still retire at 62. Look at where they're getting their money from, though. It's coming from the 401ks. It's coming from the IRAs. I don't mind paying taxes on that. I already paid taxes on that. But if I do it this way, I pay tax on both, and I run out of money. Look at the difference. Look, this is not simple retirement planning. It's more complex maybe than it appears, but it is so necessary. If you have money in 401ks and IRAs and you do not have a tax plan and a Social Security plan, you don't have a retirement plan. That's really pushy of me to say, but it's the absolute truth. We see people every day that just their advisors just didn't do it for them. Oh, we don't deal with taxes. Talk to your CPA. Well, I don't know if there's CPAs in the audience, but CPAs don't do tax planning like that. They work on paying taxes and getting it correct. And God bless them. It's a hard job, and I don't like doing it. I use my own CPA to do my taxes. And I don't like to pay any more taxes than I have to. But look, this is planning for next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. How do I avoid paying taxes there? That's tax planning. And if you haven't done that, how in the world do you have a plan? Look, tons less. Look, over $186,000 in value, more than $100,000 less in taxes if you don't run out of money. It's a huge deal. You just can't ignore it. Okay. If you look at your Social Security statement, there is no cost of living adjustment applied. They're never going to do that for you. You need somebody to sit down and look forward and tell you. It's a guess. I'm not suggesting it isn't a guess, but Social Security gives you no guess. And it assumes you work until age 62 or 70 or your full retirement age. Most of us don't take our benefit exactly on those dates. And maybe the most egregious thing, the thing that rubs me the wrong way. I've been married almost 50 years. My wife and I, look, we are tied at the hip emotionally, physically, financially. There is nothing in my portfolio that's not in her portfolio. But Social Security looks at her and looks at me like we don't know each other, like we're two ships passing in the night. You need spousal coordination to have any kind of plan on how to do this correctly. And Social Security will not, cannot, they're forbidden to and restricted to offer advice. They're not allowed to do it. They'll answer your questions, but that's it. AARP says whether you're close to retiring or turning 50, you should check your Social Security earnings record each year to make sure it doesn't contain errors. People get errors. Look, you could have zeros in those 35 years that you need. There could be zeros there that kept you under that because you didn't get correctly credited for the amount. This is why you should check this all the time and make sure it's correct. It's also important to be aware that some statutes of limitations apply to some of those records. All right. Every time I do one of these, I offer the same thing, a completely complimentary, free personal Social Security analysis. I'm going to do the same thing this evening. I'm going to tell you what it is, tell you three things. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you who I've asked to do it for you. And then I'm going to tell you why we do this as a company, why I do it as an owner of a company. All right, here's what it includes. Look, if you're filing Social Security, the first question is, what's my break even? When is that? And why do I need to know it? It's critically important that you don't take it before that time. Now, you might want to wait. Just because it's a break even doesn't mean it's the right time to take, but you should never take it without understanding what that is. We'll break that down for you. We'll do it in detail. It's easy to understand and implement. Look, we're going to give you point and click stuff. Easy to do. We'll look at alternatives and shortfalls. What if I don't like this? What are my options? Can I do it this way? What would this look like? We'll show you. What if I have a shortfall? How can I fix that? What are my options? We'll walk you through the options and show you. And then what about retirement income? What about cash flow and tax analysis? Can you save me money on taxes? Can you look at my retirement income and make sure that that's correct? That I'm not overestimating or underestimating. What about my income plan? Am I projecting too much income from my assets to be safe? Am I under projecting? This happens as often as the other. And look, you do not want to find out that you this is what typically happens. We see people all the time come to us at 80. Oh, I guess I didn't understand how much money I had, and I've got way more than I'll ever need now. And I wish somebody had told me 10 years ago, because I could have done this and I could have done that. I could have done this, but nobody told me. I didn't really understand that, and I didn't feel safe. So I just hoarded it. Look, you don't want to live that way. This is your time. This is what my parents and grandparents used to refer to as the golden years. Nobody says that anymore. We're all a little afraid, but you don't have to be. All right, and then what about Roth conversions? Dave, should I be doing them? And if so, how much? And quite frankly, how much will it save me? Can you show me that? Yeah, we'll do that in detail for you. And then what about coordinating benefits? Why is it so important to do? If you have a plan, but it's not looking at everything, it's not looking at Social Security, it's not looking at taxes, it's not including your qualified, non-qualified assets, your IRAs, your 401ks, your pension plans. If it's not giving you the whole picture, then you don't really have a plan. And everybody needs one. All right. First thing you need to do, if you haven't done this already, is go to www.ssa.gov and you'll be able to go in. If you don't have an account, you'll need to set one up. It'll take you a couple minutes, prove who you are, and then you'll have it for the rest of your life. And then you can download your own statement. Then we're going to give you the ability. Well, you don't need to do that first, but let me show you what the options are. I'm going to give you two options tonight. I'm going to detail what they are, and then I'll tell you how to do them. All right, first one is this. Everything I just said, it's the complimentary, complete, it's the whole kit and caboodle. It includes the filing strategies for your Social Security. It includes a tax strategy overview to make sure you're not losing money to taxes. It'll look at your retirement assets and Social Security coordination and make sure everything is working on all cylinders and doing it the way it's supposed to be done, with a special focus on your retirement assets and taxes. If you have money in 401ks, IRAs, if you have money set aside in those things that you've put together for your life to work through retirement on, this is for you. It's what you need. It's soup to nuts, everything that you'll need. Now, some of you don't have that. Some of you are here tonight because hey, I need to know when to file. That's all I need to know because I don't have other assets, or what I have doesn't amount to very much at all. I got a few $1,000s. I got $10,000. If the only assets you have in retirement, income wise, are Social Security, you will not have taxes on your Social Security. It's mathematically impossible to do. You get real close, but you cannot do it. You need the workbook. The workbook is about timing. It's about understanding when to file. And that's all you'll need. And that's option 2. So option 1 is the whole kit and caboodle, the complete complimentary process and getting everything set up and getting your report out. And the other one is the workbook. Now, you'll get a workbook if you get number 1 too, but you won't need it because we'll walk you through it completely. All right, so I told you I would tell you who's going to do this, and then I'll tell you why we do this. So you're very fortunate tonight. I've asked a really good guy that works for me. I call him a friend. His name is Justin Ponce. Justin is, well, let me start. Justin has a MBA, a Master's of Business Administration. Less than 5% of advisors in our country carry an MBA. To have an MBA, you have to understand finance backwards and forwards. He has earned that with honors. He's super smart. Now, he also has gone through the process of earning a CPRC, and an APMA. An APMA is an accredited portfolio management advisor. A CRPC is a chartered retirement planning counselor. These are both designations from the College of Financial Planning. They are exceptionally hard to receive, and they're really good. He also carries the NSSA, the same designation I have for Social Security. He owns that and knows Social Security and taxes like the back of his hand. He's also a fiduciary advisor. Everybody in our firm is a fiduciary advisor. We're a fiduciary company. We don't operate outside of that. So he carries a Series 66 issued by the SEC and administered by FINRA. But he is a fiduciary in every aspect of his work. So what do you get with Justin? First off, he has trained himself to be an incredible listener. Look, you cannot be a good advisor without being able to get a client or a potential client or somebody like that to have a conversation with you and tell you what their hopes, their dreams, their fears are, and to be able to understand them and have empathy for them. He does that incredibly well. So what do you get with him? Comprehensive tax and Social Security planning and analysis. Comprehensive, with an incredible attention to detail. He's also just a great guy. You're going to love him. I say that because maybe this is the third part of what I said I would do, is tell you why we do this. It's because my firm has guys like Justin in it that I can do this. Justin's one of those guys that I know if you sit down with him, you're going to be wowed. Not a little, but a lot. Every single client my company has, mind you, 1,231 client accounts, we've done really, really well. We've done it because when our clients sit down with us, in the exact same way I'm asking you to sit down with Justin, they're so impressed that many of them say, we need more, we need to talk more, we need to do more. And they hire us. This is incredibly expensive. It costs a lot of money to do this. It costs a lot of money in his time, in my time. It's in the ads that we spent to get you to come tonight. It's expensive. But we do it because we know if you go through that process, you are going to be utterly gobsmacked at the quality of the work we do, at the depth of understanding, at the comprehensive nature of what it is. And he's he's a perfect example of that. So look, um, last comment, and then we're going to do Q&A. So I'll ask our tech team to start prepping. Look, I'm a huge Costco fan. I know some people don't like the big box stores, but I love them. But it's not really, I don't think I save that much money there. And sometimes I throw out stuff that I thought I was going to need because I got too much. And there's a whole question there whether it makes sense. And some of you don't know what Costco is. It's BJ Wholesale or Sam's Club or something. But for us, it's Costco. But I go almost every week. I push my wife to go on Saturdays, and the reason I love it is because I don't get out that much to do grocery shopping, and I like to try new stuff. And you know how I can try new stuff? You walk into Costco on a Saturday morning, and every nook and cranny of that store, they got somebody crunched in there, microwaving, frying, baking something for me to try, most of which I've never heard of. And I'll go up to somebody, and my wife doesn't even try it. She doesn't even look at it. She just looks at me. And if I get a big smile on my face when I try something, she says, okay, we'll take one. If I nudge her, that means two. And that's how we get to try stuff. I have a big freezer filled with stuff sometimes that I didn't get to try because I bought it, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But I'm excited about it because I tried it in the store and I know I liked it. That's what this is about. I know if you try something that's really good, there's a really good chance you'll want more. That's it. That's it. All right. I've asked our tech team to put our QR code and our link. The link is right at where is it? I think it's in there. Oh, he's putting it in now. Right there. So if you touch that link, it's going to take you to the questionnaire that will ask you the two questions. Do you want option one, which is to meet with Justin and get the whole thing, or option two, you need the workbook? And then if you want to use the QR code, that's right under the workbook on the screen. You just hold your phone up. You'll put the camera on. You'll see a rectangular yellow or orange bar. Touch that, and it'll go right to it. And you can do it. Now, if you are using your phone while you're doing this and you can't do that, you can do it by taking a screenshot of it and then opening the screenshot and touching it. It'll take you to the right same place. Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking with me. Anita says, congratulations, happy early birth. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. It's a big one. Okay. Let's get through and we'll do the questions here. Okay. This is Tracy. I have always heard that if you're married, you have to be careful how you take your Social Security. Yeah, I would say that that's correct. There are some rule changes, particularly since 2015. You need to have an idea what you're doing before you actually do it. I would say that's an absolute correct idea. If you need planning or you need to know about taxes, meet with Justin. He'll walk you through that. If not, the workbook walks you through every different possibility. So great question. Okay. Gladys, if they run out of money, what will we do? Well, if they run out of money, they're going to borrow the money or they're going to raise taxes. One of the two, Gladys. There's no option not to pay you. So I know that's fearful, but don't operate on fear. I will tell you, my grandfather, who I love dearly, my parents divorced when I was 7. He moved in with us shortly after my grandmother had just died. And he went out of his way to try and teach my sister and I about finance. And he had a saying, never, ever, never make a financial decision out of fear. That's what's happening right now. People are afraid. And when they are, it's easy to make mistakes. Don't get caught in that trap. All right, Kathy, what did the government do doling out trillions during COVID have to do with Social Security? That was lost on me. Well, the answer is they doled out trillions of dollars that people didn't pay for. How are they not going to pay you for Social Security that you did pay for? That's how it relates. All right, Gladys. Why do they give Social Security to people who have never put into the system? Well, they don't. Um, the only way you can get Social Security is you can get spousal benefits if you never put into the system, but that's because your spouse put into it, and that's factored into the payout process. But that's the answer. That's the answer. Um, I know I've heard some people say that, uh, and I've done as much research on this as I can, that immigrants are getting Social Security and not paying into it. That is not true. Um, okay, next question. Yeah, my tech team is saying there's a de minimis benefit, and there is. You can get more than you put in for some people. This is from Debbie. If you're getting delayed payments, do you apply on your birthday? Well, no. If you apply on your birthday, you're not going to get it till the following month. If you want to apply and get it near your birthday, you want to apply the month before at the latest. And really, you can apply up to, 45 days is probably optimum before you want to get your benefit. So if you want to get your benefit July 1st, it's really May 15th that you should apply at the latest. Okay. All right. This is from, yeah. Um, bear with me. Okay. This is from, if it's correct, I believe it's Anna. I was married for 10 years, now divorced, never remarried. When can I file for the divorced spouse benefits? So you qualify, 10 years is all you need. You never remarried, good deal. So you have to be at least 62. Your spouse has to be at least full retirement age. So it depends on when they were born, but either 66 or 67. Those are the only two requirements. And okay, only because I'm in Utah, Social Security is not taxed in Florida. Yeah, you're talking about state income tax. Yeah, that I get it, totally get it. Okay, Kathy, I will be 67 in October. Should I apply for Social Security in August, or wait until I turn 67, at which time my husband will apply for spousal benefits as he is already receiving Social Security? Yeah, so you want to wait until your FRA, but you can apply the month before and then start it in October. You don't need to wait till. That's right, August. August is fine. If you apply in August for October, getting October, the first October. I don't know what date you're born, but they're either the first, second, or third Wednesday of the month, depending on what the birthday is. Early birthdays get it on the first, middle birthdays get it on the second, and then later birthdays get it on the third. Good deal. All right, Gigi. So if my ex-husband, married 10 years, divorced in 1991, after 3 children, is taking benefits today at 72 years, I don't know who has been remarried for over 25 years. Am I able to request benefits still work? Yeah, let me see. I'd like to know how old you are, but if you're at least full retirement age, yeah, because you're still going to have a reduction in benefits if you're still working, unless you've made your full retirement age. So either 66 or 67. If you're 66 or 67, you absolutely can apply and get those as long as half of his is less than all of yours. So that's the clinch. If not, all you can do is apply for yours. This is for Natalie, is it? Noella, sorry, Noelle. My government pension would be considered provisional income. 100%. All pensions, doesn't matter what kind. Gloria, so is it better to put money in a Roth or take out money before taking Social Security? Yeah, it depends. This is a conversation you should have with Justin. This is where it gets complicated, and there's no quick answer without doing uh, a lot of questions that will get us the information we need to know to sort of rectify and figure out exactly where you're at. But the answer is complicated. It might make more sense to convert money from 401ks and IRAs into Roth rather than take it out before taking. But you want to know, you're going to take it out to put it in a Roth, but it grows tax free at that point. But you probably want to do that before you take your Social Security is the real key. And that's the one that you need to pay attention to. Great question. Okay, no, yes. How do you get analysis? Go to either use the link. I'll ask our tech team to put the link in again, and go to option 1, or you see the QR code on the screen. Go to that and do option 1. Thanks for asking. Okay. Okay, Debbie. So, okay, can I apply now, even if he is already getting? He did deny payment. I don't know what deny payment is, but he denied receiving payment. Doesn't matter if you've been divorced at least 2 years. He doesn't have to be receiving for you to be able to get it, so you can apply. Great question. Okay, Kathy, does money invested in an annuity count as provisional income? Not money invested in annuity, but income from the annuity likely does. Jeff, unless it's a Roth. Married for 30 years, divorced for 11, 69 years old, 6 months. Just filed for Social Security benefits. Let my ex know I filed, not remarried. She's 64. My benefit is higher. Can I file a claim on her? I don't think I can. Is that correct? Neither of us has remarried. No. So if your income is higher, your benefit's going to be higher than hers. If it is, your benefit would have to be less than half of her benefit, of her full benefit, to be able to get her benefit, her spousal. So the answer is most certainly not. Okay, if my husband is getting, sorry, Debbie, is my husband getting Social Security already? I'm waiting to get delayed payment. Is it going to tap into my Social Security benefit? Is the amount going to decrease? It's not going to affect your Social Security benefit at all, and it's not going to affect it by decreasing it at all. So the answer is no. Whatever he does is unaffecting to you. Won't change your benefit at all. Good question. Anna, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Nancy, if I plan on working until 70 and I do have to still apply now and delay benefits and money so it's ready to go at the time, or should I wait? No reason to apply. No reason, if I'm going to be 60, no reason to apply before you're ready to take it. You could file and suspend, but there's no benefit to doing that whatsoever. Just extra paperwork. It says I'm going to be 65. No reason to do it. Anita, I'm widowed. I'm about to file for Social Security in 3 months at age 65 and then change to spousal Social Security at FRA. I really was unaware. Yeah, you can't do that. If you file for your own, you can't switch to spousal. Well, hold it. That's not true. Unless that spousal wasn't available to you when you file. But if you've been widowed, you don't want to. You Let me tell you, there's two benefits, and one of them is let me correct. I was thinking divorce spouse benefits. Your widow benefits you can take immediately, and then you can wait to take your own benefit until 70 and max it out, or do the opposite. But the widow benefit stops growing at your age 67. So you might want to take your own benefit now and then switch to the survivor benefit at 67. That's the answer. Okay. Okay. I checked workbook only, but if I want to complimentary analysis, it's going to reach out to Train. Yeah, just click the link, Kathy. And I would suggest, I mean, schedule an appointment. Do it for a week or two from now, and then you can always rearrange it later if you want to. But that way he's got it in his planning. But you'll get the workbook. Okay. Thank you so much. It's been an eye opener, and appreciate your time, it's Anna. Thank you, Anna. All right. Okay. Thank you, Anita. No problem. Thank you so much. Your analysis is scheduled. My analysis is scheduled. Good deal. Okay. Looks like we're at the end of the questions. So I am going to let me look at this. All right. Thank you so much for your patience and time tonight. I'm going to wish you all a good evening, a good planning. If you're meeting with Justin, I wish you well. You're going to have a really, really great experience. And for all of you, may you all have a peaceful, wonderful retirement. Thanks again, everybody. We'll say goodnight for now.